the full power of the dark side. Good!
We will deal with your rebel friends soon enough.
What the? Misa back!
Prepare to fire!
Oh no!
Hello and welcome back to Star Wars Beyond the Stars for episode number 21, recorded on Wednesday, February 4th, 2015. I'm your host, Fred, aka Sith Lord Corv. And joining me tonight is the commander of Sith Intelligence, Agent Louis Olan.
Hello, Fred. Hello, Twitch. Hello, YouTube. What's going on? And as always, greetings from Imperial Intelligence. And sorry, late spoiler in case Fred ruined that for you. If you haven't finished the Agent storyline yet.
We already spoiled that in like 3 episodes now.
Have we?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you
Wow,
say
what
the
a
same
track.
thing every time.
Well, it's a running PSA disclaimer. I'll put it that way.
F people that haven't played the Agent story yet. And also here is Captain Kimbray, aka Paige.
That's a little backwards, but I'll accept it. Hello, everyone. What's going on?
ID10T. And Treek,
Goopa Noopa.
who's currently drinking Kimbray's nail polish.
Let her.
Oh!
Let her, it'll kill her.
It won't kill her.
Here's some remover. Here you go, Dreaky. It's a remover.
Me too.
Nothing kills Treek. I've seen it.
She keeps going and
Keep
going
going.
and going.
Tank mode, you can't kill her. Healer mode, you can't kill her. I wish Doc, Quinn, Gus all healed like that.
You can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and SWTORNetwork.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. And that's the place to be following us if you want to see the Star Wars recommendation of the week. Because Paige posts every week after our episode goes up what the recommendation was from the previous week.
I got a little behind on that. Like 3 weeks, I think. But I caught up, and I need to post episode 20's recommendation. But we're recording 21 tonight, so I feel like I'm still in the clear for that one. I'll post it a little later.
And of course you can tweet us at Star Wars Beyond. Our usual record time is Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/NoSHTGaming. And Paige, what is coming up in the Captain's Log tonight?
What's coming up in the Captain's Log? We have our past week in game. We have a future updates discussion. Agent Olan's intelligence report, where Lou will present the Jedi Order Part 2. Plus, the weekly winner of the Agent Star Wars Trivia Question of the Week, and your feedback in the Community Hollow feed.
Yeah, we're not going to include your Treek back this week.
Treek back?
Yeah.
Oh!
You know, like logistics agent Buckeye had to wax.
Ugh.
Which, if you guys missed it, I named our last episode Wax On, Wax Off, Ewok style.
Yeah.
That's just the disturbing mental image right now.
Quick, segue away.
And as always, we do have something quick to mention. Although sometimes it hasn't been so quick. But first off, we were informed over the last week that we spoke out of turn, incorrectly. We did report from Delphi.net that BioWare would be releasing 2 expansions this year, but as I just said, we were made aware that Delphi had reported it incorrectly. Apparently what it is coming this year is just 2 game updates that BioWare has announced for this year, so far. And as always, things will be subject to change, so we'll keep that going. We'll keep everyone updated on that. Also, posted a couple days ago, game update 3.1. I guess some hints were dropped as to what was coming up for it. And game update 3.1, confident on Rishi. And here's what they posted on the site, the official BioWare site. Rally 3 of your most trusted allies and return to the dangerous pirate haven of Rishi to fight through level 60 hard mode versions of the 2 newest story-driven flashpoints from the Shadowrun digital expansion, Blood Hunt and Battle of Rishi. Plus, compete for glory and new rewards in PvP Season 4. All in Game Update 3.1. Conflict on Rishi, coming February 10th.
Brought to you by BioWare.
Yes, prove your prowess and get rewarded with valuable mounts, decorations, and more. Tower over your enemies aboard an impressive Imperial KX-7 Command Walker, or the Republic BA-2 Command Walker.
Which is significantly less important.
Surprised I mentioned it at all. Anyway, next one. Collect the Masashi gear set, inspired by the fearsome Masashi warriors of Yavin 4.
What the hell is that, just a loincloth?
Hey, we're getting there. We'll get there. No jumping ahead. Use your new illumination probe crate decoration to light the path in front of you as you take a stroll around your stronghold, or show off visually mesmerizing with the new multi-state mainframe terminal. And no, I did not. This is a straight word for word quote. They wrote, show off visually mesmerizing with the new multi-state mainframe terminal.
Yes, they did say that. I want to say something though. Hold on. You know those catalogs old ladies get with all the useless junk in it?
You mean the JCPenney catalog?
No, not the JCPenney catalog. That actually has like relevant items in it. I'm talking about like the
Sears catalog?
No, come on. It's like the Bradley company or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, like a whole bunch of made-up companies that just send old women catalogs with
Yes,
useless
those.
crap like fingernail extensions that can also be used to trim your hedges.
Yes, okay. We understand what I'm talking about now, but let me explain why I'm bringing that up. In one of those catalogs, I have seen something that reminds me of this illumination probe crate decoration. And
Was it a flashlight?
Hold on. It was old lady slippers with flashlights built into the toes so that when they're shuffling around, to get to the bathroom in the middle of the night, they can see where they're going. And this reminds me of that, to light the path in front of you as you take a stroll around your stronghold to get to the toilet at 2 a.m. It just reminds me of that. I find it amusing.
So instead of little lights behind little kid sneakers like they have nowadays, it's just the actual light in front.
I'm going to find this and I'm going to tweet it to you. I can't. It's so ridiculous. It's a real thing.
A whole new level of terrible.
But that's what that reminds me of. Wonder if it looks like old lady slippers.
I think I'd even go with, how airplanes and the movie theater have those white illumination strips in the aisles. I think I'd go with that for now. Whenever you have a guest walk in, like, hey, look at that! I got my own little personalized strip there, lights. I can walk around. Check it out.
I just figure those lights are built onto the slippers in case Grandma wanders out of the nursing home.
Aw.
Okay, they have different. Oh God, I can't even. They have different measures in place to ensure that doesn't happen. Goodness gracious, really?
Yeah, you would think so, but it seems at least once a year there's a news story about that happening.
Okay, the company that I was talking about was called the Bradford Exchange. It makes it sound so official, like it's an exchange. Oh,
The Joe Bradford Exchange.
I was gonna say the Joe Bradford Exchange, like from gaming the industry. Okay.
ooh, they have something I want. Let's not talk about that.
Is it slippers with lights on them?
No, it's a Nightmare Before Christmas figurine.
Oh, I was gonna say, is it the new multi-state mainframe terminal?
On that note, why do old people always seem to escape when it's really cold outside? Is that when they gain their superpowers? Like when Obi-Wan hangs from a ledge?
I'm not even going to talk to you about this. Because we've had people in our area die, like 3 or 4 people over the last couple years because they got out of the nursing home and froze to death.
Maybe they wouldn't have died if they had lights on their slippers so they could be found.
Oh my god, Fred!
What's going on in the captain's log page? What'd you do in game?
Yes, let's talk about our weekend game. Since I'm going first, I logged on to my smuggler, the real Captain Kimbray. She's just as cute as I am. I realized I hadn't played her since the talent trees were eliminated. She is a scoundrel, and I decided to take the route of the ruffian with her. And to test it out, I decided to do a quick tactical just to see how I liked it, to kind of get into a groove with the rotation and try to gauge the amount of damage I seem to do, just to see if that ruffian was the direction I wanted to go. I happened to get into a group with the normal makeup of the 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS. And I don't know exactly what the problem was, but it seemed like I was pulling threat off the tank constantly. And I'm not one of those people that inspects other players and try to figure out, ways to justify why they may not be a good player. And
why they suck.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that. But, I always let him attack first for a few moments before I began my rotation. And I don't want to be so full of myself that I think I'm that powerful, but I really don't know if he was that bad. All in all, though, I am pleased with the ruffian. I think I'm going to stick with it. And I think the next step with the real Captain Kimbray is to push her to level 55 so that I can do things on Rishi. I also spent some time on Shadowlands playing my commando, who's a combat medic. I had played her a lot with Fred. That's how she leveled up. I believe she's level 56. And a few times with Ash when we were doing dailies. But I was always kind of giving her the stink out, and I realized I just haven't felt a challenge on her yet. And that's always because I'm playing with competent people, Fred and Ash. So I wanted to put my skills as a healer to the test. So I queued up for a bunch of flashpoints. And it really took me a minute to get my groove back, because up until this point, for maybe 2 or 3 months now, it seems like I've only been playing my agent. I did play my assassin a little bit, but I was really, really playing my agent a lot. And then before I played my commando, I was playing my smuggler. So it was like I was playing my agent and then the mirror smuggler. So there was a period where I needed to really try to switch gears and remember what the hell I was doing, because I didn't have all these abilities that I was used to. Luckily, that didn't take long at all, and no one died as a result of my brain fart. But I still didn't find it a challenge as I thought I might. I seemed to do pretty well in every group, even getting people to tell me, that I was a great healer, when we had bad pulls and the Shiduki was really hitting the fan. The only thing I seemed to get out of playing her was a desire to play her in war zones, which is amusing to me, because last episode I was saying that I'm trying to get away from PvPing so much on my agent so that I could focus on other things, and all I really did was make myself want to do it on my commando instead. And I do what I like to do in games. I don't do things just because I'm supposed to, or that's what everyone else is doing. So in my opinion, oh well, to war. See you guys in some war zones. That's all I did.
All right, so Lou, what have you been up to over the last week?
Well, I've been kind of busy. I won't say a lot, but just keep myself very occupied, since everyone knows I have a complete list of alts that I have to go through. Must get to 60 and do stuff with them. But as always, my operative comes first. She's my favorite. So what I'm doing with her is, as I mentioned last week, the companion gear quest continues. So I think last time we spoke about this, I'd gotten Loken all ready to go, and is working on Temple next. So when I get around to doing that, she'll be fully outfitted with that free set of gear that you get by doing the weekly that you have before. And then, even though I've got Scorpio to a point where I'm comfortable with using her as a tank with all my stuff, I figure why not? You know, the next companion I gear up for the operative, I'll see what they got for Scorpio. You know, check out the gear that they have for her, and see how it measures up, and you know, update her as necessary. Because I like making, you know, I want to make her the best tank companion I've got in that character. Because ironically, yes, the psychotic fembot that the agent gets for a companion, you know, I've maxed out affection on her for some reason. Even though my agent's completely light side, I have managed to get Scorpio to a full max affection, and this is not even using gifts.
Oh my goodness, how did you do that?
Oh, this is called running the dailies and memorizing the correct responses.
You're going to have to make me a little guide because she really hates my agent.
Yeah, I think I got a decent chunk of that from doing the dailies on Belsavis, not Section X, the initial set of dailies that you get on Belsavis.
Yeah.
All right.
I think those are the only dailies that give you affection, aren't they?
Yes. And then other than running, I think a few flashpoints here and there, just to get some gear, I maxed out her affection on her. So I figured, you know what, I'll work on Temple next for affection, because then Cleo is just going to stay on the ship. So just stay there and rot. But being a completionist, I'll have to get around to maxing her as well too.
Just do what I did. Dress her like a sand person, so it just looks like a random sand person's leaning up against the wall on your ship all the time.
Yeah, and I'll freak out. Oh my god, what the hell are you doing? Oh,
or since on your agent you have a whole bunch of droids, dress her up like a cyborg. With that armor that can make them look like completely like a droid.
Mm-hmm.
That's my new method for companions that suck. Like, what's his face? That Twi'lek companion that you get on the Consular.
Oh, gosh.
Starts with the Z, I think. Zenith, like that crappy TV company.
Hey, now.
Oh, was that out loud?
Yes. I also been working on my agent's biochem, my operative's biochem skill, trade skill, or crew skill. Because I really don't like crafting in any of the MMOs I play. From 1998 till today, I mean, I see the need for it. I understand what you're saying. I have no problems with crafting. Just that for me personally, again, I don't like doing it because I'd rather just play. The thing is, though, I'm getting around to working on biochem because the benefits that I've seen with the stuff that's out there now in the GTN that people are advertising, it's just, damn, I've got to make those. I've got to make those for myself and for my characters and for everyone else here. So, as a result, I'm working on it slowly but surely. I am paying for slacking off on working that crew skill for the past 2 years. And right now I've got our biochem at 223 and I have a long way to go. But I'm gonna get there. I will get there. Damn it. I also started working on my gunslinger. So right now, since the class changes came in 3.0, I brought her. I'm in the sharpshooter discipline, and as it stands right now, I'm liking how it works. Okay, and right now she's at level 58, just a few XP away from 59, and I have yet to finish Rishi. But that's because I'm always looking to increase the credit wallets of my characters. I always run the dailies on my characters. So yes, thanks to Oricon, ZZ198, the GS ideas that are available. That really helps with building up the credits. And, hey, you know what? The XP that you gain from those quests, nothing to sneeze at. So, no big deal there. I also took some time to switch up her look. And to me, if going RP-wise with this character, if I were wanted to, she looks like a respectable freighter captain for hire. Meaning, if you saw her anywhere in public in the Republic, you'd be like, oh, look, she looks like a trusted captain for hire. Well, yes, my characters. I don't haul anything illegal. All my papers, identification is clean.
I didn't forge these documents.
No. My freighter doesn't have 40 different ID codes for it. No, it's fine. We're good. We're good.
Hey, you're the head of intelligence. You could do whatever.
No, that's my gunslinger.
Yeah, but that's your gunslinger, part of your legacy.
That's right. It's true.
Contacts.
Oh, now.
know people in high places.
Everywhere. And as always, I'm also working on improving the gear sets for these for my Gunslingers companions. And right now, I'm working on Theron, and I'm probably gonna work on Risha. Corso not so much because even leveling my Gunslinger, I always kept Corso's gear on par with my Gunslinger. So as time went on, leveling my Gunslinger, I always kept Corso on par with me. So he's never felt the need, or I've never felt the need to actually have him play the catch-up game with gear, as opposed to now I'm using Theron and Risha more often. That's the old adage of, oh my god, I left the companion on my ship for the past 8 months because I've been using this character, this companion. Ooh boy, time to fix that. And quick side note here, yeah, Jay, pretty much, no, it's crafting in Tor or a lot of other games. I don't find it too appealing because I'd rather just go out and play the game. I don't have issues doing the resource gathering stuff. I'd rather do that and pay a crafter in the game for their time. Do that instead.
Man, what's terrible, Lou? And I just realized by listening to you talk, the consular companion Theron Cedrax has almost the same. It's spelled differently, but Theron Cedrax, Theron Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like the name Theron. Come on.
Did you just notice that?
Yes, I did, because I wasn't paying attention to that until I heard Lou actually talking about the consular companion, because it's spelled differently.
Yeah, like Theron here for the smugglers, Tharan, and I think we got Theron Shan.
I think he's Theron, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People read it wrong, like it's the Ron. No, it's Theron. There's no space break there.
The Ron.
It's the Ron. No, Theron.
I'm calling him the Ron now.
What doesn't help is when a character's first appearance is in a book or something, and people actually read the physical book, because I'm guilty of this as well. When you read a physical book and you've never heard these characters' names ever spoken, you kind of make up your own pronunciation for the names in your mind. And you think that's the way it's supposed to be pronounced. And then when you hear somebody else say it and they say it differently than how you have been perceiving it's supposed to be said all this time, you want to correct them even though they're probably right and you're not.
Well, see, this is where you get James Earl Jones to just read every Star Wars book as an audio.
That would be amazing.
Petition that to happen.
Take my money. Just do it.
Yeah,
please.
Let's just have him start with the ones that are now canonical, and then he could just read them as they come out. And
you know what? Save that.
When he eventually dies, we'll have to get somebody else to start over from the beginning, just for continuity's sake.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh my god! You'll be
Hey,
listening.
my lightsaber. Which one is it? It's the one that says "bad" beep on it.
Hand me my lightsaber. Beep 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 beep.
Yeah.
Beep.
Man, this
Anyway.
he hand me my mother beeping lightsaber.
And then he cut down that mother beep with one swing.
God. Anyway,
I thought we just go with Morgan Freeman.
Did you guys see that picture on the internet where it's that scene where Obi-Wan hands Luke his father's lightsaber on Tatooine, and Luke's holding it, and he's like, "This was my father's lightsaber," and somebody added the text where Obi-Wan's like, "Yes, he used it to kill 30 children."
oh man.
Yes. Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, I think one of my friends too had found a meme a few years back with that same scene, but it points to where, when Luke first gets in, he's actually examining it closely. And, being in the army and all, when, you never look down the barrel of a rifle like that. It's like the same thing. Luke, don't look down. You never know where the power switch is in that thing.
Now, wouldn't that have been a swift end to that movie if he accidentally turned it on?
There goes New Hope. Now we got to go to Leia. Sorry. Oops, there goes this New Hope. Go on to the next one. And speaking of next ones.
Yeah, we totally interrupted you. Sorry.
Working on my water, too. And as of last night, I got her up to level 59. Still waiting to go to Yavin 4, cough, for the next part of the Shadow Revan story arc. And right now, I'm just doing dailies on her to keep the credit flow going and growing. And like I mentioned before on my gunslinger, my God, there's just a real easy way to just gain XP. Just so easy. And I don't understand why I see some threads on the BioWare forum saying, what happened? I'm not gaining XP. Like, what are you not doing in the game? If you're over 50, how do you not have avenues to get XP? Something's wrong. But as I mentioned last week, I am using another player's guide. Since all the class changes going on, I figured, you know what, let me start tinkering with some builds that are out there. And right now I'm currently using Stipling's Annihilation Marauder DPS guide, which I found on Dolphy's site. Okay, and even though I'm not max level, I'm pretty much following or looking at what he or she, has posted on there on that build, and for me it's okay. I'm not having a hard time with it. Okay, not too difficult. I'm enjoying it so far, which is key. But if anyone out there has any suggestions or builds or guides that they'd like to recommend, hey, by all means, send it our way, and I'll gladly take a look at it, because I have no problems, dumping a build, trying another one, because that's the beauty of this system. Reset, yes. Let me try this all over again. Let me do something else.
A lot easier to change now too.
Mm-hmm. So now that we have all these, new mechanics in place, I have no problems, and man, I'll try out different builds just to see how they are. That's the fun, and I thoroughly enjoy that. On that same note, I'm doing the same thing with my Sentinel, and just like my Marauder, she's currently level 59 as well, doing the same process. Again, about to head over to Yavin 4 and continue the story arc there, which is cool. And I'm really excited for her, because I'll probably push through my Sentinel in the next couple of days, because that'll be my first public character that I will get through to complete to the end of Shadow of Revan. And I can't wait to see it, because I've seen it already on the Empire side of my operative, and I had a blast with that. So right now I can't wait to see it on my Sentinel and see what that Republic ending looks like.
Hopefully it's not going to be too similar.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope it's not, because again, remember, two different factions, two different philosophies, two different points of view. Let's hope that they keep to the flavor of what what the Republic stands for, I suppose, and what the Empire stands for. So we'll wait and see. Can't wait to get there. And for my companions on my Sentinel, I've been working on Doc's gear currently, and once that's done, I intend to move on to Kira, because every now and then I do like to take Kira out, just to vary up the companions I work with on my Sentinel and on my Marauder too now, so because I have fun with it. And when I finally get to the point where I unlock the Yavin 4's dailies, like I have my operative, I'll go through the same process in order again of upgrading my companions on both the Sentinel and Marauder. I usually, for my Marauder and Sentinel, I always upgrade my healers first. And then usually I toss up between either another DPS companion or my tank companion, and go from there. Because the health to break, to put more, I guess, to make it more fun for me, I tend to switch up my characters every now and then, depending on what I'm doing. So to keep pace with that, you've got to upgrade several companions at a time, and I don't have problems doing that. And then, as I mentioned earlier before, I have a list of alts that I have to go through. So after this, once this initial set is done, because I break up my alts into like little groups that I work on first. Like, this is my priority group right now. It's usually my operative, my Marauder, my Sentinel, and my gunslinger. And the next group I work on will be my sorcerer, my shadow, and my power tech. Oh, well, actually, I put my Vanguard there too, but since I moved my Vanguard over to Shadowlands, I always keep forgetting about that character, since the bulk, my home server per se, is Jedi Covenant. So I kind of forget that I have characters sitting on Shadowlands too, and I should go there every now and then and touch base with them. We're leveling up as well. But that's for a different week, and that's pretty much what I've been doing the past week.
Okay. Well, when you're mentioning all those companions you're working on, I was just thinking to myself, like, pretty much as soon as 3.1 comes out, they've already said that the ship droids are going to be able to use guns, which, if I'm not mistaken, that was actually a feature in the beta that they removed, wasn't it, Lou?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so droids could use guns before, and then they took it away, probably for the exact reason it's going to apply to me, which is all of my Sith warrior characters will never use Quinn again. It's going to be wonderful. 2VR8 all the way.
They're gonna have to change the. Oh wait, does TVR say, or I think both droids say, but thank the Mega, I was not built for combat. Oh really? Not anymore, bud. Here.
I think you have like the option to tell them like, shut up. Here's a blaster.
Here's a weapon.
No, you tell them that you can upgrade them to make them combat ready, and then they just tell you, "Oh, that would void my warranty."
Listen, if you're riding with me, we already voided your warranty.
Don't worry, if you break, I'll just steal another one. Since half the characters, well, a good portion of them, pretty much steal their ship anyway. And by that I mean 1/8 of the characters.
And Palais from the chat saying, make sure you have the target skin on the ship droid.
That'd be hilarious. It'd be even better is when I'm playing my Dark Side Jedi if I'm running around with my Crimson 2N2. It'd be a
big
beautiful
target.
thing.
Fat target on the chest. Yeah, this is the one you want to hit first. Hit this one.
You gotta admit though, 2VR8 is cooler than C2N2. Like, C2N2 acts like he's already been in combat, like he has a built-in neck brace. What's up with that?
I don't understand it either. I mean, when the very first time I logged in to Tor, play the beta, and I saw the first droid like that, I was like, what's with that? Like, what is that? Is this the droid missing a headpiece?
Why does this droid have a laundry basket built around his neck?
So he doesn't get whiplash.
2VR8 is definitely the cooler droid. So how mad are you going to be, Lou? Well, I mean, it's already kind of the case, but how mad are you going to be when they start adding new ship droid customizations and Scorpio still only has one?
Yeah, that's where I just sent a little note to BioWare saying, hey,
Hey!
a droid that's pretty much sat in everyone's ship for the past 3 bloody years gets more customizations than a companion that, players take out and play with every day, if they choose to use Scorpio.
I never paid attention. Does the ship droid actually have different stances that it can be in?
I don't know. To me, when I always just run by them, so they're always just standing up straight. It's like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, and here, thanks. Cool, great. Okay, next.
Fred,
Not what I meant.
explain it.
Oh,
I meant like how with Quinn you could put him in a DPS stance or the healing stance. I don't mean like, does he just stand there, or are you gonna just walk onto your ship and he just bent over for no apparent reason?
Glad you're back.
Okay, it just went somewhere dark.
I'm sorry.
wow.
Look,
I'd rather just
Look, you're scaring ID10T now.
He's glad you're back.
I think I'd rather them go back to whatever mode you want to put your companion in. That's fine. You want to you wish to make Broomrock your healing companion? Go right ahead.
So we don't know if they have different stances. The ship droids, I mean.
We do not at this point.
No, yeah, I haven't seen or read anything about that. So,
Play.
unless it's a
How
kit,
about logging into the game real quick and telling us if your ship droid has a healing stance? This is how we utilize our chat room.
or if there's a way to, there's a kit that drops that you just put on your ship droid, it puts him in that stance automatically.
There's so many horrible things I want to say right now. So
You
while,
need a time out.
while someone is researching that for us, Fred, why don't you tell us what you did in game? If Lou's done.
Oh, it just hurts my feelings. Lou didn't mention the time that he played with me at all in here.
I'm
That
sorry.
was
what?
you.
Wow. Lou rolled me under the bus.
That's hover bus. Yes.
Thank goodness it just floated right over me.
Yeah. See, I knew you were safe.
I was the guinea pig to find out.
Yeah, kind of like that. We have that new, what was it, that new speeder mount that looks like it has 3 discs, 3 flying discs attached to it.
I'm replacing you with the droid from Forged Alliances.
Oh, the GSI bot,
Yes.
the Almighty bot.
The Metal Messiah.
Yeah.
Basically, Lou and I played through Forged Alliances Part 1 and 2 last night on some new characters. Well, not new characters, but characters we haven't played together yet. And this was their first time through Forged Alliances, obviously. And we freaking steamrolled Korriban Incursion and Invasion of Tython. It was ridiculous how we just destroyed it because we had 2 GSI bots. And when there's 2 of you there, or more, you don't even have an option because if one person pulls out the GSI droid, it automatically summons it for everybody in the group. Like, we'd get in there and I wouldn't even get to pull mine out because Lou called his and then mine just automatically came out. And that droid wrecks house. With 2 of them there, we cleared both of those tacticals in about 45 minutes. So I have no doubt that in probably just slightly over an hour, you could do all 3 of them with 2 people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was crazy. And if anybody was curious, you could still pick up the quests and get the HK customizations doing it in solo mode. Which, to reiterate, and by that I mean make a new point, the Republic side version sucks. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this last week, but I finally got my artificing to 500, and on the advice of Nepthin from Old Republic Dads, he actually suggested that I buy the missions that you can get on the GTN, the purple ones, to actually get the purple crystals that I've been trying to get. Because I've still been running the normal gems missions that I have through treasure hunting, and I have yet to get a purple crystal from that. I don't know if it's just not critting or what, but I cannot get any purple crystals doing the normal missions. When I run the purple missions I get off the GTN, they always get crystals, but they take like 4 hours to run. So those are the missions that I start up before work, and then when I come home I have some crystals. But I finally got enough that I was able to make 1 of each of the new artificing crystals, which means now I can go back to ignoring artificing.
There we go. Until the next skill bump.
Yeah, until they give me something that's actually worth making instead of giving me 2 new lightsabers that have freaking handlebars built into them. What is up with that? Why do these lightsabers have some kind of weird ass handguard coming out of them?
I guess maybe someone's been doing their homework, like how weapons were made, and a lot of swords will have handguards.
Yeah, but no sword is designed so that the handguard goes through your hand when you hold it.
Well, I just chalk that up to Q&A from the art department not catching that.
Let's face it, Lou, there is no QA department. Like, there's just so many blatantly obvious little graphical bugs that if there was a QA department, I can't believe that these things don't get reported. Like, things that you can see at initial glance with an item, like all of these new lightsabers, which they're everywhere in this expansion, that you hold and have this little handguard thing coming out of them, they always clip into your hand. You could see that just by previewing the item. And then there was the lightsaber that we got from doing part 2 of the Forged Alliances that is actually from the last gear cycle and has been removed from the game, off the comm vendors anyway. But it has this little spiky thing on the side of it, and that clips into your character's hand. It's like, if you guys can't design an item to not clip into a character's hand, don't put all these little frill things that are going to clip into the character on it. Just make a normal lightsaber hilt and make it look interesting.
I think the problem is that maybe it's a priority thing for them, that they can deal with graphical issues like that as long as the weapons still work. As long as the item still works, I mean, you can still equip it, the stats properly display. If that item is supposed to have a bonus attached to it, what have you, that's properly being reflected to the player, and adjustments are being correctly made if things are swapped in or out of it. So I think for them, it's it's like choose the devil you dance with. We'd rather deal with the flack from graphical issues as opposed to the item is there but it just doesn't work. I put a 41 critical crystal, and yet my crit rate for my character sheet hasn't made any adjustments. The change is not reflected there. Or if I'm doing a test parse on a dummy, it's not being reflected. The numbers aren't showing it correctly. So I think they would rather deal with that than the item itself just being borked like that.
I understand that. And the first lightsabers that they made like that, I could see them being bugged. But when the last gear cycle had these lightsabers with these little frills coming off of them, and they bugged badly into character models and such, you would figure that when they actually sat down to make the art for Shadow of Revan, they would go, you know what, those little things we stuck off the lightsabers last time didn't really work out too well. They clipped badly, and it didn't look clean. It looked sloppy. So this time we're just going to avoid putting those little frills on the lightsabers so that we can make a clean looking product and it looks professional. And for some reason that seemed to hold no sway over their art direction for the expansion. They just did the same thing again, and this time they made the lightsaber hilts super huge so that they clip even worse than before. And see, it boggles my mind, because I've never been an actual game designer, but I have modded a few games in the past, and when I'm modding something art-wise and I see that it clips into a character model, I figure out how to avoid doing that, and I tend to do that going forward. And it just boggles me that a product that people actually pay for to play, the artists don't do little tricks like that to try to avoid having clipping issues and making a product that doesn't look natural.
Well, I mean, to be fair to the art department, I mean, they're probably designing these items on their own software, on their own screens. Like they're not actually in the game. All they're doing is looking at the art assets, the art files that the game has, and creating their own. And so for them, I think what's happening is that for them, when they actually illustrate and create these designs, everything is perfect, as it should be. They probably have taken that into account to make sure everything is nice and neat and clean. However, I think the disconnect is happening to where the art team now sends this to the actual programmers who are designing it, who actually code it, put it in the game. And then again, let's see, unless the art team is being told, okay, when you make this armor and you make this gear, you have to take into account that the game has 4 different body types for the males and the females. So what looks good, I mean, if an artist, I'm just saying hypothetically, of course, folks, if an artist is only ever using body type 2, and with the features that come with that particular body type, either male or female, okay, but then now you have a player who chooses to use body type 3, to where, again, that body type is just a little bit thicker for both sexes. All right, and we all know what body type 4 is for everyone. Okay. Now I can see where they run into a problem to where, all right, the fingers and the hands for the heavier body types obviously are bigger. Okay, so obviously if they haven't taken that into account, then yeah, I could see where the overlap happens to where the grip of the weapon, the handle of the weapon, whatever, is now being engulfed by this person's avatar's hands, because they didn't take that into account. It's like, I only designed it I only made one design for it, and how well it reflects for body type 1, 3, and 4, or if I design only body type 3, well, how does that affect 1, 2, and 4, and so on?
Well, you do bring up a good point, and what that makes me think is maybe the problem is the artists don't know what position the characters actually go into when they pull out the weapon. And that's probably where the disconnect's happening there. And at the same time, though, again, that's a pass for the first time that weapons like that come into the game. But once that has become a problem, the artists need to be told, hey, when you put those little things outside the weapon, it's clipping into the character models. And let's face it, when you see something blatantly clipping in the game, it's immersion breaking. Like every time you get on a speeder and your robe just hangs through it, it's an immersion issue. When you play a Star Wars game, you want to be immersed into the Star Wars universe, or the galaxy, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to constantly be seeing things that just make you go, oh man, I can't believe that's bugged. Now, to give a counterexample, like the dreadlock customization that I've been talking about, that one I could see being exactly what you described. The artists did a phenomenal job. That hairstyle fits perfectly on the character models. And then on the programming side, something's messed up because one dreadlock warps and clips weirdly. So that just seems like something a programmer needs to take a look at, figure out where the error is, correct it, and then the art assets function perfectly like they're intended to. But with those lightsabers and stuff, I think that is an art style choice. And I wouldn't say it's a bug or it's not working as intended, but when you realize that that particular art style doesn't work well with these character models because you have clipping issues and such, you should try to avoid that kind of art style. And like with the artificing weapons, for instance, you have basically two lightsaber models in this expansion, where one of them has the little things sticking out of the lightsaber, and the other one doesn't have that, and it's the same hilt. Unfortunately, they gave the artificers the one that has the things that stick out of the lightsabers, so there's a whole lot of clipping issues. If they would have done it the other way around, where you're actually getting the one without the hand guard thing as an artificer, I would actually make those lightsabers and use them. But as it stands, the quest reward lightsabers are infinitely more useful to me than the ones I can make. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because it's no secret, clipping and graphics issues are one of my biggest pet peeves that pull me out of the world that I'm immersed in. Graphics don't have to be perfect for me, but they need to work well for what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean to your point, all my force using characters, okay, my Marauder, my Sentinel, my Sorcerer, okay, my Guardian, all of them, I've gotten to the point to where instead of dealing and seeing the eyesore that is that clipping issue that's been going on for how many years now, okay, yeah, it's probably not a simple fix at this point, but you know what, one of these days they will get around to fixing it. But just to get around that, I've gotten to where all my force using characters don't wear the robes anymore. The moment my character can wear an orange piece of gear, an adaptable piece of gear, guess what happens? I find a cool looking chest piece, that's either a jacket or whatever, or a shirt, and I slap that on that character from that point forward.
Huh.
Because I make a pretty imposing, Emperor's Wrath with my robes hanging, dragging on the ground, when I'm supposedly hovering 2.5 feet, 3 feet over the ground on my speeder.
What's really bad about it, though, Lou, is like you're saying at this point, it might not be such a quick fix, but I've noticed this with the mount issue and with that dreadlock issue when you go up to the appearance customization kiosk. Whenever you're in the preview window, these graphical bugs don't exist. When you preview a speeder, your robes don't clip through it. They act like they're supposed to. And when you go to change your character's customization and you have the dreadlocks and you turn your character, that one dreadlock isn't warping like it does in the quote-unquote real world. So something about the preview window seems to be coded better than the actual game. And I don't know what is up with that, because you would figure if there's a bug in the game, it should be bugged in the preview window, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So they need to figure out what is right about the preview window and make that happen in the game.
Right, and hopefully it's not that difficult for them to implement when they get around to it. Or at this point, if they get to it. Because again, they have their wall of crazy, so and their priorities will always change.
Well, I just wanted to throw out here real quick that Play did get back to us, and he said, yes, the ship droid does have a healing stance, but that's his only stance. He doesn't have an attack stance.
Maybe that's something they'll be putting in there.
Maybe, but it wouldn't even matter to me whether they did or not, because I never put my healing companion in a DPS stance. they're pretty much worthless as DPS. As long as he has a healing stance, that means he could be equal to Quinn.
Or wouldn't it be funny if if you're a character, or if you were able to, if you unlocked HK for all your characters across your account? It'd be kind of cool if the devs programmed into where you had to take your either 2VR8 or C2 to HK51 to have him train him for combat. Can you imagine the cutscenes for that? That'd be gold.
You get that droid back and he's missing an arm.
Oh my gosh. And HK going, apology. I'm sorry, Master. Today's training session didn't go as well as I thought it would. And there's 2VR8 or C2 on the ground going,
I know when you get HK on a Jedi Knight, he says something like insulting the quality of T7. Like he actually says something about that little droid sucking.
Now for that, I'm going to have to unlock HK on my Sentinel and just see what happens.
Yeah, he basically calls him like inferior hardware or something like that. He's like, I can't help but notice that you're traveling with an inferior droid, Master.
Oh boy. You can imagine hearing T7 to the ship in the background. I heard that.
Oh, Lou, what do we have to talk about tonight?
Alright, for our point of discussion tonight, well, as we alluded to before, okay, we were corrected on the fact that they weren't doing expansions but just updates. And so now that we're aware that BioWare, at this point in time, and as always will be subject to change, they intend to release 2 updates this year. Now, are we to believe, or do we believe that those will be the only real updates that we will receive this year? Do we think that we are going to see any quote-unquote real, true expansions at all for 2015?
Now that we've been corrected and we know that those are game updates, I'm going to go back to my New Year's prediction and say no, that we're not going to get a real expansion this year.
What was great was in last episode when you're like, oh, they proved us wrong. And now in this episode, you're like,
actually, they did.
Somebody else proved us wrong. JK, guys. We're back to the original prediction.
Yeah.
What's funny is, like, I'm trying to keep track of our predictions and what comes true and what doesn't, so that at the end of the year we can review what happened. And they're just throwing wrenches at me. And I know if you can dodge a wrench, you should be able to dodge a ball.
Fred, do you think there's going to be an expansion?
I will be surprised if there isn't some... Well, see, this is where we get into the fact that BioWare doesn't make any real patterns. And one year we had 2 digital expansions, as they called them, with Galactic Starfighter and Galactic Strongholds. And then we also had a real quote-unquote expansion where we had a level cap increase and everything. I don't believe that we're going to see 4.0 come in this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they snuck some huge game update in and called it an expansion again. What do you think, Lou?
Well, just going back to what you just said, I mean, they did release Shadow Revan not too long ago, a few weeks ago, in December. So if they want to keep to that, to where if they will now, going forward, they will consider an expansion, meaning it includes not only a new planet or 2, a complete new set of dailies, and a level cap increase, all right, then right now I think that we won't see something like that until next year. But I wouldn't be surprised if by later on down the road this year, especially towards like maybe the tail end of the 3rd quarter, beginning of the 4th quarter of this year, all right, to where maybe BioWare will stop dropping hints or give you some teasers of information as the year progresses, at the various cons through later on in the year, like maybe at San Diego's Comic-Con, or maybe at New York's Comic-Con in October. around that time frame, I probably would expect to see something BioWare saying, yeah, you know what, if we're not putting out a real expansion this year, but we do have something in the works, and here's some information that we're willing to share at this point, that we can share at this point. Like, you're not going to get it in 2015, but you are getting something in 2016.
I do like that you mentioned the community cantinas, because that was part of what they had also said, is that they're going to start using the cantinas to actually show us new things and make some announcements at cantinas, instead of just the cantina tells them a bunch of stuff that we already know and they get clarification there. They're actually going to leak out new things at cantina events now.
Right. And I think that's a great move, because usually cantinas, it would be great if they coincide the cantinas with the various cons throughout the country, okay? Or, the PAX events, obviously, and the different Comic-Cons in the different cities. Like, for example, I just mentioned, New York City's Comic-Con, all right? I know Baltimore has one too. Orlando has one, all right? Other cities that BioWare has access to can get there and have, decent-sized communities, playing communities too, game communities. So I think that would be a great venue for them to actually give out information and not just be a complete rehash of stuff that we, like you just said, Fred, like we already know. Like, we just pulled it off your site. Like, no offense to them, but it's like, why would you come all the way out here, pull your hair out trying to make the arrangements to not only reserve the space, on-site security, rooms, food, all that stuff for the crowds. Like, if you're just going to mention what we can just do 10, 15 minutes on your site.
Well, I think that incentivizes people to actually go to these events too. Like, even more so than before, because I've thought about going to a community cantina before, but they're never near me, and I'm like, should I really spend the money and stuff to travel to one of these things when they're just going to tell me something that I already know?
Right. And I think, too, like I said, this would be a great way for them to actually express and start using the cantinas to their advantage, saying, hey, we'll rehash, and actually we'll use this time to clear up things we mentioned in the past. But at the same time, this is going to be one of our main menus to where we actually will give out information, so that Sword Tour fans will say, hey, oh my god, I'm going to make the effort to get there. I'm going to save up for the next couple of weeks, my pay or whatever, my play money, what have you, just to get tickets and go to this thing and see it. If they go this route and start using it like in the way they just described, I think it'll definitely be a hit with the community, the Sword Tour community. All right, because again, it's going to give the community team to fulfill one of the changes they said they're going to make this year, which is to open up and be more communicative with the player base. And now, if they start using the cantinas as their venue for not only disseminating information, but clarifying previous posts, previous things that have been said and done for the game, and since they do have a decent group of BioWare folks that do attend these venues, it'll be great to actually have that exchange, and that's something I guess everyone can look forward to, and would want to happen.
Though I am going back to my original prediction that there won't be an expansion this year, I'm not trying to say that I don't expect big things from SWO Tour this year. I expect that both of those updates will be decent. They're going to provide us with something to hold us over until we do get that new expansion, which I do think will come next year. And I also wanted to say that I am right now tweeting a picture of those shoes I told you about, the slippers with the lights on them, so you can see it.
All right, so what do you think, Fred?
Well, I did want to mention, too, on the note that you've said that the community team's actually been making an effort to communicate better. They actually spent the last couple days restructuring the bug reporting system on the forums to make it a little bit more clear what issues are known, and they took out some old threads that were pretty much irrelevant at this point and made up new posts explaining exactly how to report bugs. And they made it so you can actually embed images into your post now on that specific forum so that you could show them what's wrong, which I think that's great. And I will be interested to see if the actual bug fixing process is sped up at all because of these changes. But,
All right.
I mean, as far as like the main topic goes, I don't think we're going to get 4.0 this year. And they've already said there's going to be 2 updates, and I consider GSF and GSH to be updates personally.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, so if, again, at this time, if we're not expecting or we're going to receive a real expansion this year to SWTOR, what do we believe will be behind these expansions? Are we looking towards more of quality of life stuff? All right. Something along those lines, or maybe with expansions like, maybe if not expansion level, but we will receive other dailies areas to quest around in to broaden our list of things we can do at our with our max level characters.
Well, one thing that I have noticed, and this could just be anecdotal or it could be relevant, but these games don't exist in a vacuum, and it seems like the community team in SWTOR has really been stepping it up and being a lot more transparent since Elder Scrolls Online announced that they're going to be going buy to play in March. Because even though you actually have to buy that game to be in a state similar to SWTOR's preferred status, it's going to actually be kind of a stronger competitor once you can just buy the game and not have to subscribe anymore. And I think maybe SWTOR is feeling the need to compete again for the first time in a while.
Okay. I mean, in terms of like maybe what gameplay, what game style that ESO provides over Tor.
Well, yeah,
I
I think that at first SWTOR felt like they had a leg up because they offer a free-to-play system. And with ESO, you always had to subscribe. But now that ESO, which by all accounts was the next biggest AAA MMO to come after SWTOR, I mean, you could argue Guild Wars 2 or whatever, but I don't think any of those other games had anywhere near the pool that SWTOR and ESO did and the IP behind them. And I really feel like they are at least paying attention to what's going on with ESO and trying to be a little bit proactive so that they don't have to react later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are you noticing anything like that? Because it seems like they've been doing a lot lately since that announcement came out.
Well, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. Also not entirely chalking coincidence away, because it could just be coincidental. All right. But, again, as the community team mentioned, since they have noticed that, things were lacking on their end, okay, and that's one complaint or one thing that they've gleaned from the community is that the level of communication that's been provided for in the past has been severely lacking, okay, and I think they know up to a point, that's probably where a lot of the ire comes from, the player base, the fact that I don't think people are angry that the bugs are there. I mean, yes, they're angry, but you know what? They're angrier because of the fact that they report things, they say things, they make these statements in support or in criticism of the game, and nothing is ever acknowledged. Okay? Nothing is ever brought forth. And that's something that's hurt them. All right, they know it now.
But see, I think that's where my point comes from, is these are complaints people have had for a long time. Why are they choosing right now to do something about it?
I like your question, but at the same time, it's almost like I don't want you to question it. As long as they're moving in a good direction, I kind of just want to accept it. As long as they're going the way they're supposed to go and not moving backwards and not staying stagnant, instead of questioning, well, why are you finally acknowledging this now? It's just, thank goodness that you are, because it was becoming a bigger problem the longer they just let it go on.
Well, I guess my concern is if the ESO thing is the reason why they're deciding to pay more attention to the community and focus on communication and all this. If ESO goes by to play and SWTOR doesn't really notice a huge change, they don't notice a drop off, and everything seems to stay the same here, they may feel comfortable enough just to fall back into the silence. Because, okay, it didn't even make a dent with us, so we don't even need to worry. Let's go back to doing what we were doing before. People have been playing, they're happy.
Hopefully that's not the case, because with their improved performance, they should see a positive shift in customer satisfaction. And when you get results out of a behavior, I mean, if it's a result you're looking for, you should continue to do it. I mean, this is common sense to me, but a lot of things are common sense to me that aren't to everyone else. So, I don't know.
Paige, BioWare's been trying to shove that round peg through the square hole for years now. And it just seems ironic, the timing. I'm not saying that this is the case. Just from my perception, it makes me kind of raise an eyebrow and wonder a little bit. Because it just seems uncanny, the timing. Because it seemed to me like this huge shift occurred around the same time that announcement came out from ZeniMax.
True, and then maybe do you think if they are, if that is the case, to where if they believe that this is a contender for the player base, all right. So what do you think they should put in these new expansions, these new game updates that are supposedly coming out? All right, because then if you want to retain your player base, and you've told us that at this point, you are looking to put out 2 game updates this year. What would you put in to keep that interest there?
I think they already have it mapped out what's going into each of those updates. Because they always talk about their roadmap, and when they were talking about Shadow of Revan, they said they already have 4.0's story and all that planned out. So I think they have an idea of exactly where they want to take it, and they probably know what's going to be in both of those updates. And I would bet one of those updates is going to have the Togruta in it.
Right. And we know in April, I think the costume designer should be coming out, or outfit designer, around that time frame.
Which I'm really hoping that is what I wanted with an item in the cash shop, where basically you could get a cool looking piece of green or blue armor, and you can go up to this NPC or kiosk or whatever and turn that into a moddable piece where it can pull all the mods, enhancements, and armorings out of it and use it just like an orange.
That'd be cool.
That'd be nice.
If it is that, I'm sure you're going to have to use cartel coins to unlock those. But, such is the price of having new art.
True. So what else? We are getting to Togruta, okay? Supposedly Zyos is coming too. All right, and that's definitely coming one of these updates. Whether it's the first one or the second one, we are getting that planet. Okay, we need to, what are we expecting from this planet?
Didn't they say Zyos was coming in April?
Supposedly.
Yeah, so that would have to be the first update.
But again, remember, things will always be subject to change, so I always just want to caveat things.
That'd be kind of BS if they put out the first update in March and the second one comes in April, and then we don't see anything else till the next January.
I think that's something they'd want to avoid, because
that would be terrible.
Yeah, I think that would be a questionable move on their part, because then I don't think the player base would be very happy if that's the exact route they took.
Woo! Party! We're done for the year!
I'd like to say that in the updates that are coming up, please, BioWare, at this point, I really just feel like you're trolling me. Just me. Put in some decent female hairstyles. New ones, I mean. There are good ones that already exist, but it seems like the ones that they're coming out with, they just keep getting uglier and uglier.
Oh, they do. But so do the male ones.
I feel like they're listening to us, and they're like, it'd be funny. Stop it.
Dreadlocks were cool for a certain type of male, but the one that got slated to come out next, oh my gosh.
Oh, yes.
Who did you say that looked like, Paige?
Bach?
Yeah, Johann Sebastian Bach.
And I said that it looks like someone took a Shiduki on top of that female's head.
Oh, yes. Well, I think that we've carried on long enough with this. So, Paige, what's our Star Wars recommendation of the week?
I'd be glad to tell you, Fred. For those interested in actually getting a look at the recommendation of the week, I will be posting a link with a photo on the Facebook wall when this episode posts to iTunes. And this week I have an item from Etsy, and it is from a shop called Continental Hobby, and it is a complete set of 8 limited edition 1977 vintage Star Wars Coca-Cola promotional cups. And let me get to the description here. They say, "We are pleased to offer this complete set of 8 vintage 1977 limited edition Star Wars Coca-Cola collection plastic tumbler drinking cups. All 8 of the promotional cups in a series are included." And then they list what's on each cup. There's Han Solo, which I actually see Chewbacca on that cup too. They didn't include him in the description. The Final Chase, Tusken Raiders and Jawas, Darth Vader, R2-D2 and C-3PO, Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia Organa, and the lightsabers. Graphics are in perfect... I think that's supposed to have the word condition included in there. So, graphics are in perfect condition, and cups are unused. The rear of the cup shows a description of the Star Wars scene shown on the front, and also reads, "A limited collector's edition from the Coca-Cola Company, copyright 1977, 20th Century Fox Film Corporation." And then it gives the measurements, which I don't think are important. But
Alright, I just bought these.
aren't they cute? That's $25 for that.
I know, and I'm totally gonna drink out of that Vader cup.
Buy
That
2
one,
sets.
that one with the sandpaper and the freaking Jawa are going in the garbage.
No,
That-
buy 2 sets. One you store away permanently, as a keepsake, and one you actually use.
I'm not sure that... I should have checked this first, but I'm not sure that there are multiple sets of these. I
I
think
was
this
gonna
might
say.
be the only one.
No, because there's 27 reviews, and you could change the quantity up till 9.
These reviews aren't necessarily for this product. If you click on the reviews, it shows a picture of what the person...
hell? The first review. This is the most soft, cute, yet realistic orca yet. I have several for the kids visiting our boat. This one is for me.
Okay, so that weirdness aside, what I'm saying is
I
those
hate these people.
those reviews are not for the... You can see a picture of the item that the person purchased. You can see a picture of that little orca. So those reviews are for the store, not for the item. And,
Okay. Well, either way, you can order up to 9 of these sets.
well, let's find out. I'm going to add to cart. No, looks like you can. So there's 9 of these available. Go ahead and buy a set, Fred.
Right now. But, unfortunately, I just found Sonny, the Germany plush stuffed dog.
So, Agent Olan, how about your intelligence report? Because Fred's being extra weird.
Alright, and tonight, as I promised last week, we continue with part 2 of the Jedi Order. Light or darkness, one cannot exist without the other. And so tonight we're going to start off with the Force Wars, or a brief synopsis, as I'm not going to go into that. It's a whole nother lore segment in and of itself, folks. So briefly, the Force Wars, as it relates to the Jedi Order, obviously, in the ensuing decade, this is picking up from last week, folks, the balance of the Jedi Order was shattered. 2 splinter groups emerged, one which held the Ashla as the main power of good in the universe, and another whose members found power only in the Bogan. In a tumultuous conflict known as the Force Wars, former allies were pitted against each other, and all that the Jedi Order had become was torn asunder. In 25,783 years before the Battle of Yavin, the war raged for nearly a decade, leaving the planet a ruined waste. Right, this is Typhon, folks. Sorry. The Lightsiders led by Jedi Masters Rajvari, Garen Jard, Caleb Bryn, and Tara Sendon, founded a new group known as the Jedi Order, and deemed that they would only use their powers for the protection of the weak and disenfranchised. From this group, Master Rajvari broke away and formed a dissident group of Darksiders. Building an army of Darkside monstrosities, Rajvari and his followers seized the Temple of Kalath and attempted to defeat the Jedi Order. Following the defeat of Rajavari's forces and other dissidents like him, the Jedi Order was finished, the Jedi Order standing in its place. Having witnessed the destructive power of the dark side firsthand, with the ruination of the homeworld, a large group of Jedi set out from Tython to settle other worlds far from the deep core, eventually establishing headquarters on the far-flung world Ossus. The Jedi successor group, the Jedi, would ultimately go on to defend the galaxy for millennia to come. The Galactic Republic made use of the Jedi Order's Bendu symbol, particularly during the Clone Wars, and Emperor Palpatine of the Galactic Empire, the Republic's successor state, instituted a six-spoked Imperial crest reminiscent of the Bendu symbol. Now we go on to organization. Or in a quote from K2, "Those born with an affinity to the Force were always brought back to Tython. From youngling to apprentice, from journeyer to ranger, and finally to master, a Jedi grew, passing from one temple to another, seeking knowledge, seeking balance in the Force, their creed a message of peace." So a monastic order of scientists, scholars, warriors, philosophers, and artisans that were the sole inhabitants of the planet Tython, the Jedi Order was governed by the Jedi Council, also known as the Master's Council or the Council of Masters. The Council was composed of the 9 Jedi Temple Masters, the highest rank a Jedi could achieve in the Order, who each oversaw one of the 9 temples that were scattered across Tython. Though there were 9 Jedi temples, the actual number of Temple Masters occasionally varied from 9. A mated Selkath couple named Callie and Naro jointly held the position of Temple Master at Maharakesh, the Temple of Healing. The Jedi Council met in holoconference or in person at Kalath, and the Council had the authority to exile Jedi to the moors of Ashla or Bogan if they strayed too close to one side of the Force. After the departure of all non-Force sensitives from Tython, it became customary for any Force sensitives who were born on the other worlds to be sent to Tython, where they were trained as Jedi. Any non-Force sensitives who were born on Tython were tested to see if they possessed any aptitude for the Force, but if not, they were asked to leave the world, as it was unsafe for those who could not touch the Force. Young Force-sensitive initiates were trained and housed at Padawan Kesh until they were taken on as a Padawan by a Jedi Master. Once a Padawan's training was complete, normally when the Padawan was in their teens, they were made Jedi journeyers and sent on the Great Journey, an odyssey across the surface of Tython to visit each of the temples. Great journeys typically lasted 2 years, and journeyers would trek unaccompanied and largely by foot across Tython to reach each of the temples, where they would spend several weeks learning the skills taught at each temple. Most journeyers chose a discipline to specialize in during the Great Journey, and many returned to the temple that taught that discipline later in life as rangers or masters. If the journeyers survived, upon successful completion of the Great Journey, they were elevated to the rank of Jedi Ranger. Rangers were deployed by the Jedi Council all across the Tython system, fulfilling assignments and missions requested by the Council or the other settled worlds. Rangers wore a badge known as a Ranger Star to signify their rank, and they were given their choice of a starship, either a Hunter-class starfighter or a larger Peacemaker-class cruiser. Rangers were tasked with missions of diplomacy, tracking fugitives, ending conflicts, and a wide variety of other missions, and some Rangers rarely returned to Tython. If a Jedi Ranger had shown sufficient experience, wisdom, and understanding of the Force, they might be promoted to the rank of Jedi Master, which was the highest rank a Jedi could achieve other than a Temple Master. Numerous Masters made their home in each temple, providing their knowledge to younger Jedi and studying the Force and other pursuits. And now to the temples. And here we are another quote by Ketu. As the millennium unfolded, the Jedi built a great civilization, establishing temples, cities, seats of learning and healing, each centered around a Thoyor. Early in the Jedi Order's history, the Order established their 9 Jedi temples around the 9 Thoyor across Tython. While other cities and settlements were later built, the 9 temples were home to most of the planet's inhabitants and were the seats of the Order's presence upon Tython. Akarkesh, the Temple of Balance, was considered to be one of the most sacred temples, and it was built within the great pinnacle of stone above which the large Thoyor hovered. The Temple of Science, Anilkesh, straddled the planetary rift known as the Chasm near its floating Thoyor, and its inhabitants meddled in science and alchemy. The Temple of Healing, Maharakesh, was located in the deep ocean, and the Temple of the Arts, Bodhi, was located on the plains of the continent Masara. Padawan Kesh housed and trained young Jedi before they became Padawans, while the Temple of Martial Arts, Stav Kesh, was located high in the ice giant range next to the Thoyor that had buried itself in the mountains. Fort Tepe, the Forge, was located directly over an active volcano near its floating Thoyor, and its inhabitants focused themselves on the creation of weapons and anything else that Anil Kesh's scientists could think of. The Temple of Force Skills, Kigon Kesh, was located in an enormous cavern beneath its floating Thoyor in Tython's silent desert. And the last temple, Caliph, the Temple of Knowledge, was home to the Jedi Library and the meeting place for the entire Order. And now, we go on to philosophy. And this should all sound familiar to everyone. And a quote from the Code, the original Jedi Code. There is no ignorance, there is knowledge. There is no fear, there is power. I am the heart of the Force. I am the revealing fire of light. I am the mystery of darkness, in balance with chaos and harmony, immortal in the Force. The Jedi Code. The Jedi Order's primary philosophy was that of balance. Because of Tython's intense reactions to imbalance in the Force, the Jedi strived to maintain personal balance between the light and dark sides of the Force. This philosophy was also inspired by Tython's moons. Bright Ashla represented the light side of the Force, and the dark moon Bogan represented the dark side. In Jedi philosophy, they acknowledged the fact that there was always light within darkness and darkness within light, so that it was impossible for one to ever be truly free of either. Unlike the later Jedi Order, the Jedi were encouraged to give in to the temptations of both light and dark, as they believed it was necessary to embrace both in order to learn more about the Force. The Jedi viewed living on Tython as a near constant meditation and study of the Force, and the Great Journey was intended to expose young journeyers to the various disciplines and arts that were studied at each temple. The Jedi Order developed their own code, which illustrated the primary tenets of the Order's philosophy, and was taught at all the temples across Tython. Because of Tython's proclivity for Force storms, the Jedi took it upon themselves to police their ranks for those who fell out of balance, and they exiled those who were out of balance to Tython's moons. Those who delved too deep in the dark side, as mentioned before, were exiled to Bogan, where they were instructed to meditate on the light side and the bright moon of Ashla. On the other hand, those Jedi who clung to the light side over the balance were sent to Ashla, where they meditated on the darkness of Bogan to bring themselves back into balance. Exiles on Tython's moons received regular deliveries of foodstuffs, and they were kept separate from other exiles by their cuffs and the sentry droids that patrolled the moons. And this concludes a brief rundown on the Jedi Order. And as always, I want to say thank you to the Wikipedia, StarWars.com, TheForce.net, and other Star Wars lore sites for having all the information out there. Folks, if you enjoy the Star Wars lore as much as I do, please visit these sites, go visit, look up your favorite topics, and enjoy. Alright, and now this will bring us into our community holofeed, where we go over emails, tweets, and various Facebook feedback. And we always start off with a little rundown of the trivia question of the week, where each week we're going to post a trivia question into our YouTube video version of the show. Simply go to StarWarsBeyond.com and we'll link you right to the episode. On the episode page, there will be a button you press to see the trivia question of the week. Alternatively, it'll always be after we say our goodbyes. Then, shoot us an email with your answer to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. And in your email, please include your character name, the faction you're with, and what server you play on. And if there's more than one correct answer, we'll do a random drawing to win the cartel pack. Everyone that answers correctly will be entered into a drawing for a much larger prize, which we'll draw on the show every couple months. All right, which we just did last week. All right, you can be entered into the grand prize drawing every time that you answer a trivia question correctly. So, over 5, 6, 7 weeks, and you answer correctly 7 times, hey, 7 chances for you to try and win the grand prize, folks.
We're going to be having the same trivia question as last week because apparently the video took forever to upload, having just finished uploading in the wee hours of the morning yesterday, and it was initiated days before that. So we're going to try again, and we're going to go ahead and roll over the trivia question. So if you want to hear the trivia question of the week, episode number 20 has the same question that this episode's going to feature. So either 20 or this one on YouTube, and you will hear the question. And Robbie, still haven't written in to claim your grand prize. So send us an email as soon as you hear this. Check out episode 20 where we announced you as the winner.
The grand prize winner.
The grand prize winner, yes.
Maybe we should send him an in-game email.
That can be arranged, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we know what server he's on, and you can just send him a little message, be like, hey, shoot us an email, you won.
We know his character name, the faction he's with, and which server he plays on.
And I think we know what faction he plays on, too.
Thank God.
We might.
Thank the Force for that. No.
But do we know what faction he plays on?
We'll have to find out.
Yeah, Lou, we got an email this week, too, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And this comes from Edward. And Edward writes, hello, all. Hello, Edward.
Hi.
Thanks for reading my email. Lou made my email sound so much better than I hoped. I am glad I prompted such a solid discussion. On to my predictions for the coming year. I can see 2 new daily hubs, each centered around the 2 announced expansions. Or at this point, now we know it's updates, game updates. I don't see any more CZ-198s unless BioWare needs a filler area during a content drought. That said, I can see a story area turn daily hub similar to Oricon if they need to add some life to an operation. On the operations front, I see 2 new operations this year with nightmare modes used as filler content to extend the operations until the next new operation is available. If BioWare adds more than 2 operations, I will be surprised. Historically, they haven't the most consistent track record at bug-free ops content. On the PvP side, I see 2 new war zones and 1 new arena. PvP is popular, and those folks could use new content. I do see one of the war zones being another Hutball map. BioWare might start talking about a Hutball league, but that would probably be contingent on a single server or across server realms. A long shot would be a team deathmatch or a simple capture the flag still map. For Galactic Starfighter, I see a single new map that supports both existing modes. I don't see any new modes or ship types. For Strongholds, I can see a Rishi Stronghold, that'd be sweet, as being the most likely one. I do expect another Stronghold on a leveling planet, with Alderaan or Corellia being the most likely. Though for April Fools, I hope BioWare teases a Terra Stronghold. Yeah, let's live in the swamps with the raccoons and the toxic water and stuff all around. My crazy out of left field prediction: at some point, BioWare will start hinting out about a droid rebellion, kill all meatbags storyline. This would be a great way to have a storyline that equally affects both sides in a logical manner, with forcing each side to work hand in hand. To make this even more fun, they could bring back fan favorite HK-47 as the main executioner, and from KOTOR 2 or Knights of the Republic 2, Go 2 or G0T0 as the hidden mastermind behind the Droid Rebellion. And this comes from Pele on Jedi Covenant, who's actually in the chat room too.
We're reading your email.
Yes, we're reading your email.
Correction. We read your email.
Yes, we did. We just finished reading your email.
Okay, so we got your predictions locked in for our end of the year or beginning of next year episode when we review and see who was right. Some solid guesses there.
Yeah, and I want to add to that though. I mean, Rishi. I mean, we also mentioned, and I've also other people mentioned too. Manan would be great. Whether it's an above surface like the ones we see when we actually get to Otto City, or heck, even underwater, like with the the buildings we see at the spoiler at the end of the cutscene when you escape the underground facility in Manan once Darok and Arcus make their escape.
The underwater properties cost more when you're playing Monopoly.
God. Hell, I mean, if we can have a stronghold, If we can have a stronghold on a little desert planet like Tatooine, hell, we can have a stronghold on an all-water planet like Manon.
You know that the next stronghold they give us is going to cost like $4 million for the base, since Tatooine is like $2 million. It's going to keep getting more expensive since they keep eliminating credit sinks.
You think?
I mean, it has to. There has to be an inflation now since they keep cutting out credit sinks.
True.
All right, Paige, what's going on in the SWTOR community?
Check out our fellow SWTOR podcasts. Most of them are available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, and at SWTORnetwork.com. ToroCast is at ToroCast.com. Corellian Run Radio is at CorellianRun.com. UntiniCast is at UntiniCast.com. The Unnamed SWTOR podcast is at GetUpGaming.com. SWTOR Escape podcast is at NewOverlords.com. Old Republic Radio is on iTunes. Healing SWTOR is on iTunes. Enmity podcast is on iTunes. And Tornoob is on iTunes. And lastly, the Bad Feeling podcast at BadFeelingPodcast.com. Be warned, that is an explicit podcast. Also, follow Madmar at SWTOR Family for the latest happenings in the SWTOR community. If you'd like to have your podcast listed on this segment, send us an email at StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com.
Alright, and one last time, you can find out more about our show at StarWarsBeyond.com. You can like us on Facebook at Facebook.com/StarWarsBeyondPodcast. You can send us an email to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. You can tweet the show at StarWarsBeyond. You can tweet me at SithLordKorv, KORV. You can tweet Lou at GamerGuy11B, and you can tweet Paige at Asaphiry, ASAPHIRY. And now it's time for our final thoughts.
My final thought is I do want to hear more predictions from our fans. So if you would, send us an email about it. I want to know what you guys are predicting.
And for myself, now I'm just really curious to see what they have entailed. You know, what's in the works for these game updates that are coming out this year. I would really like one of them to be a huge quality of life update, because if we're not going to get content expansion, for a real expansion, we're not getting that this year, then I would really hope that BioWare would take this opportunity to really hammer in and knock out those quality of life improvements that the player base has been asking for, and BioWare has said that we're looking into, or that's something that we can do, given the time, resources. And if they're not giving us an expansion this year, then give us something like that.
And my final thought is I hope that these changes that they're making to the bug report system really pan out to where bugs are actually getting fixed in a more timely manner. And as my second part, I'd just like to say, I really appreciate our fans that come out, listen to us record live, right into the show, and especially Play, man, sending us an email. Andy's been in our chat room for the whole episode. Very,
Indeed.
very nice.
Patient man, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Beyond the Stars is an independently recorded fan podcast made in association with NSG Productions. And now it's time to say goodnight.
Good night, everyone listening in the live stream and everyone who's downloaded the show.
Good night, everyone. Thank you all for joining us tonight. See you all again next time.
Good night, everybody. Remember to put on your flashlight slippers before you go outside.
And also, that's on Twitter, on my Twitter, if anyone wants to look at them.
It's a trap.
You've served your purpose.
Star Wars Beyond the Stars trivia question for the week of February 4th, 2015. First clue. My passage into adulthood saw me riding into battle, following the customs of my people. Second clue. Defeated in the war, but not in spirit, I put my martial skills to use in other jobs around the galaxy. Third clue. I would meet my greatest opponent by accident while conducting a routine patrol in my current world of employ. Fourth clue. In turn, I would follow this person as a companion out of honor and respect. Fifth clue. I would be tasked with rebuilding my shattered people to prepare against the darkness from the unknown regions. Who am I? And folks, please remember to send your responses to StarWarsBeyond@gmail.com. And in your email, please include your answer, the character you play on, the faction you are with, and what server you're on. And did I mention faction? And as always, good luck everyone. Looking forward to seeing your answers.